Hello and welcome to the next video in our series, A Journey Through the Map of Runeterra. At this point we've gone through the jungles of Ixtal, over the deserts of Shurima, climbed to the peaks of Targon, set sail to the port city of Bilgewater, wandered through the fog of the Shadow Isles, walked over the magical land of Ionia, were reforged in the fires of Noxus, faced the bitter cold of the Freljord, moved through the proud kingdom of Demacia, and strolled over the golden laid streets of Piltover. Now it's time to pass through the smogged Piltover's dark mirror, Zaun. Zaun is located here in the center of the map. Piltover and Zaun are dual city states that control the major trade routes between Valoran and Shurima, home both to visionary inventors and their wealthy patrons, but the divide between social classes is becoming more and more dangerous. Zaun is a large undercity district lying in the deep canyons and valleys threading Piltover. What light reaches below is filtered through fumes leaking from the tangles of corroded pipework and reflecting from the stained glass of its industrial architecture. Zaun and Piltover were once united, but are now separate yet symbiotic societies. Though it exists in perpetual smogged twilight, Zaun thrives, its people vibrant and its culture rich. Piltover's wealth has allowed Zaun to develop in tandem, a dark mirror of the city above. Many of the goods coming to Piltover find their way into Zaun's black markets, and hextech inventors who find the restrictions placed on them in the city above too restrictive often find their dangerous researches welcomed in Zaun. Unfettered development of volatile technologies and reckless industry has rendered whole swaths of Zaun polluted and dangerous. Streams of toxic runoff stagnate in the city's lower reaches, but even here, people find a way to exist and prosper. Now we look at the champions of Zaun, those you might find should you journey there. But do keep in mind that this video is focused on the zone of Zaun and not its champions, so we're only going to touch briefly on each one of them. We'll go into detail on these champions in future videos. Blitzcrank, the great steam golem. A behemoth of burnished metal, steam, and crackling electricity, Blitzcrank walks the streets of Zaun in a tireless effort to improve the undercity and give aid to those in need. Created to descend into the most caustic and dangerous of environments in Zaun to dispose of harmful waste, they have evolved beyond the bounds of their original programming, thanks to the genius of their inventor and the mysterious power of hextech. Dr. Mundo, the madman of Zaun. Utterly mad, tragically homicidal, and horrifyingly purple, Dr. Mundo is what keeps many of Zaun's citizens indoors on particularly dark nights. Now, a self-proclaimed physician, he was once a patient of Zaun's most infamous asylum. After curing the entire staff, Dr. Mundo established his practice in the empty wards that once treated him and began mimicking the highly unethical procedures he had so often experienced himself. With a full cabinet of medicines and zero medical knowledge, he now makes himself more monstrous with each injection and terrifies the hapless patients who wander near his office. Echo, the boy who shattered time. A prodigy from the rough streets of Zaun, Echo manipulates time to twist any situation to his advantage. Using his own invention, the Z-Drive, he explores the branching possibilities of reality to craft the perfect moment. Though he reveals in this freedom, when there's a threat to his friends, he'll do anything to defend them. To outsiders, Echo seems to achieve the impossible the first time, every time. Jinx, the loose cannon. A manic and impulsive criminal from Zaun, Jinx lives to wreak havoc without care for the consequences. With an arsenal of deadly weapons, she unleashes the loudest blasts and brightest explosions to leave a trail of mayhem and panic in her wake. Jinx despises boredom and gleefully brings her own chaotic brand of pandemonium wherever she goes. Jaina, the storm's fury. An ancient and mysterious wind spirit, Jaina has come to protect the disposed of Zaun. While her presence is most often felt as a soothing breeze or a ferocious tempest, she also can manifest in corporeal form as an ethereal figure, comforting the downtrodden. Over the eons, Jaina has witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. Through it all, she remains steadfast and has become a beacon of hope to those in need. Twitch, the plague rat. A Zaunite plague rat by birth, but a connoisseur of filth by passion, Twitch is not afraid to get his paws dirty. Aiming a chem-powered crossbow at the gilded heart of Piltover, he has vowed to show those in the city above just how filthy they really are. always a sneaky sneak. When he's not rooting around in the sump, he's digging deep into others' garbage for discarded treasure, and perhaps a moldy sandwich. Renata Glask, the Chem Baroness. Renata Glask rose from the ashes of her childhood home with nothing but her name and her parents' alchemical research. In the decades since, she has become Zaun's wealthiest chem baron, a business magnate who built her power by tying everyone's interests to her own. Work with her and be rewarded beyond measure. Work against her and live to regret it. But everyone comes to her side, eventually. Singed, the mad chemist. Singed is a Zaunite alchemist of unmatched intellect who has devoted his life to pushing the boundaries of knowledge, with no price, even his own sanity, too high to pay. Is there a method to his madness? His concoctions rarely fail, but it appears to many that Singed has lost all sense of humanity, leaving a toxic trail of misery and terror in his wake. Urgot, the Dreadnought. Once a powerful Noxian headsman, Urgot was betrayed by the Empire for which he had killed so many. Bound in iron chains, he was forced to learn the true meaning of strength in the Dredge, a prison mine deep beneath Zaun. Emerging in a disaster that spread chaos throughout the city, he now casts an imposing shadow over its criminal underworld, raising his victims on the very chains that once enslaved him. He will purge his new home of the unworthy, making it a crucible of pain. Victor, the Machine Herald. The herald of a new age of technology, Victor has devoted his life to the advancement of humankind. An idealist who seeks to lift the people of Zaun to a new level of understanding, he believes that only by embracing a glorious evolution of technology can humanity's full potential be realized. With a body augmented by steel and science, Victor is zealous in his pursuit of this bright future. Zack, the secret weapon. Zack is the product of a toxic spill that ran through a chemtech seam and pooled in an isolated cavern deep in Zaun's sump. Despite such humble origins, Zack has grown from primordial ooze into a thinking being who dwells in the city's pipes, occasionally emerging to help those who cannot help themselves or to rebuild the broken infrastructure of Zaun. Warwick, the uncaged wrath of Zaun. Warwick is a monster who hunts the grey alleys of Zaun. Transformed by experiments, his body is fused with an intricate system of chambers and pumps, machinery filling his veins with alchemical rage. Bursting out of the shadows, he preys upon those criminals who terrorize the city's depths. Warwick is drawn to blood and driven mad by its scent. None who spill it can escape him. Ziggs, the hexplosives expert. With a love of big bombs and short fuses, the Yordle Ziggs is an explosive force of nature. As an inventor's assistant in Piltover, he was bored by his predictable life and befriended a mad, blue-haired bomber named Jinx. After a wild night on the town, Ziggs took her advice and moved to Zaun, where he now explores his fascinations more freely, terrorizing the chem barons and regular citizens alike in his never-ending quest to blow stuff up. Zeri, the spark of Zaun. A headstrong, spirited young woman from Zaun's working class, Zeri channels her electric magic to change herself and her custom-crafted gun. Her volatile power mirrors her emotions, its sparks reflecting her lightning-fast approach to life. Deeply compassionate towards others, Zeri carries the love of her family and her home into every fight. Though her eagerness to help can sometimes backfire, Zeri believes one truth to be certain: stand up for your community, and it will stand up for you. Now we know the champions of Zaun, but let's get back to the zone itself. Zaun is the polluted undercity located beneath Piltover. Once united, they are now separate, symbiotic cultures. Stifled inventors often find their unorthodox research welcomed in Zaun, but reckless industry has rendered whole swaths of the city highly toxic. It is a place both supported and ruined by unchecked industry, mercantilism, and magic run amok. The pollution from the countless factories and laboratories is constantly spewed into the environment, and the urban heart of the city is often choked with smog that blocks the morning sun and drains the sky of its pastels. Visitors have called the sky the Zaun Grey, and describe staring up at night akin to seeing the beginnings of cosmic disturbance. As polluted as Zaun is above ground, the subterranean levels are far worse. All of Zaun's runoff waste pools together in its sewers, mixing together into toxic and mysterious concoctions. Even so, thanks to a thriving black market, chemtech, and mechanical augmentation, the people of Zaun still find ways to prosper. Zaun is ruled by the Chem Barons, a group of brutal crime lords who each control a portion of the undercity. A loose criminal alliance of landlords, factory owners, mob bosses, and business tycoons. The Chem Barons use their deep pockets and hired muscle to keep the denizens of Zaun in line and prevent the undercity from devolving into chaos. While this pact between the Barons has given their researchers and inventors the leeway to push the bounds of their experiments at accelerated rate, it has also caused the city to be run more like a corrupt corporate business than a fair society of law and order. Chem Baron Tower was the primary meeting place of Zaunite Chem Barons during the reign of Silco. It towers above Zaun, reaching the surface of Piltover. Its penthouse is used as a cultivar with a wide assortment of plants. Now, join me as we dive through Zaun to its deepest sump. Zaun has 3 levels: the Promenade level, the Entroso level, and finally, the Sump level. We begin our journey to Zaun's depths at the Promenade level. The Promenade level is the entertainment and commercial zone of Zaun. Here, the upper reaches of Zaun exist alongside the lower districts of Piltover, though the differing architecture means the two could never be confused. This is where the wealthy of Zaun gather to shop, dine, and trade goods and supplies from below, and where Pilties go for good and cheap times. Here, you will find what are known as boundary markets. Boundary market areas are the most cosmopolitan of the city, where people from all walks of life and levels of society can be found for the purchase and sale of goods. Located at the end of the boundary markets in southern Piltover, the church is the main location where worship of the glorious evolved from both Piltover and Zaun come to worship their deity, the Grey Lady. It is also the place where the disenfranchised come to seek refuge, and where the crippled come for techmaturgical miracles. The great tower of the College Techmaturgy rises arrogantly from the wide canyon separating North and South Piltover, anchored to the upper cliffs by swaying suspension bridges and thick iron cables that thrum like musical strings when the wind blows in hard from the ocean. It is the city's best-known institution of learning, and a prime location for techmaturgical research, as one might imagine. Pump stations are facilities located in Piltover, housing pumps and equipment for moving clean air from Piltover into Zaun via ducts and vents. Now we go deeper, to the Entroso level. Deep in Zaun, brokers, dealers, traffickers, and entertainers mingle in cliff-dug trading posts and workshops. A flourishing hub of cosmopolitan commercial arcades, super clubs, recital halls, joy houses, and everything goes type clubs, making it one of the most populated districts of the cities. This is where the Zaun Grey tends to linger most. Zaunites living here would claim this level is where the majority of the work that allows the city to function takes place. It is the level where Victor was born. Here you will find augmentation parlors, facilities where Zaunites can be installed with various augmentations for any use. You'll also see breather stations, which are facilities where people can stop in to get a reprieve from the grave for a breath of less dingy air. Breather pipes move cleaner air to polluted areas. Though this is not to say there are no trees down here. Cultivars are large isolated greenhouses, specially designed to grow trees and plants. The wealthiest of Zaun maintain them as a symbol of their power and are a source of clean air. Bioluminescent algae and night-blooming flowers are cultivated in these facilities. Emerlift Alley is a fog-bound narrow and the main research location of Victor, the city's infamous robotics and cybernetics inventor. Deeper still, to the Sump level. Zaun's deepest level, past the reaches of the grave-filtered light, where the environment turns grim, increasingly disorderly, and poorly lit. It is densely cramped with piping and discarded items. Most of the working class live here or just above it. The depths of Zaun are among the most squalid yet vibrant parts of the city. The Zaun Grey has its origin here, rising from rank waterways or venting from corroded grills. Thick chem fumes thread the alleys between the corroded abandoned industrial buildings. It has been built and rebuilt on top of itself, and almost everything there now serves the chemtech industry or its workers in some way. Sump Works, the Sector 90TZ located in it, are one of the many locations in Zaun. It is here where Twitch was spotted after his mutational transformation. Here you will find Dredge Prison, a prison mine where chemtech compounds deep beneath Zaun with hellish conditions. The prison even once held ergot. Old Hungary is an iconic mechanized clock tower in Old Zaun with exposed grinding gears. Its base is located in the heart of the sump, and its tower is high above the levels of Piltover and hasn't told the correct time in years. It is a popular haunt of Zaunite kids and is the heart of Old Zaun. The slums of Zaun are one of the most densely populated and polluted locations in Valoran. Large pipes flowing with industrial waste are placed around the buildings, and many of its residents are workers for Zaun's facilities. The Memorial Wall is a place where residents in the slums give homage to those they have lost. The Black Lanes is located close to the sumps. This is the market of colorful bazaars at the heart of Zaun, where mechanics and thieves do business. Anything is for sale and everything is stolen, an area especially known for its gritty quality of air. Believe it or not, there's still something deeper. The Ashra Vazan. Underneath modern sump levels of Zaun, the old port city ruins of Ashra Vazan can still be found. This location holds secrets where explorers often risk their lives to uncover. Stretching far into the river Pilt, the ruins are a veritable labyrinth with a whole maze of dusty staircases and old passageways. So that's it for Zaun, and I really like Zaun. I really like that, you know, every city that kind of advances very, very quickly, there's always like a small fraction that kind of breaks off and gets left behind. But Zaun didn't. You know, Zaun really developed in tandem with Piltover and became like this dark mirror to the city above. I like how many of the goods from Piltover kind of make their way into the black markets of Zaun, and hextech inventors that feel their restrictions are too strict in the city above, they come down to Zaun. I like how these champions, who I thought were honestly creatures that were experimented on, right? When I saw Warwick, I thought this was a wolf that was combined with chemtech to create a monster. When I saw Twitch, I thought it was a rat that was made beastly with chemtech, but no, this isn't the case. Like, there's a lot of story here, and it goes a lot more in depth than that. And we need a whole nother video to talk about chemtech and shimmer and go into depth on the champions. A lot of related stories from the promenade level to the sump level. We got a lot to explore in Zaun's depths, and we're going to for sure. But that's it for Zaun. Goodbye for now, and I will see you in the next one.